This review right here is a request that's been in the comment section for a while. Finally got to it. It's a movie that is a comedy slash drama and it's quite eccentric and odd. But on this episode of Movie Breakdowns, I'm going to break down the movie Being John Malkovich. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Zakka. What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Movie Breakdowns. I'm your host, Zakka. What's Movie Breakdowns? Movie review series look at new and old movies, give them grade A through F plus minus do count. And move on with your review, let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. I also have a Patreon, patreon.com/Zakka, and for $2 a month, you get the cut in front of everybody when you come for request reviews. You also get much more stuff like trailer action reviews, much more content. And that's pretty much it. Now, let's go ahead and get into today's review of 1999's Being John Malkovich. Now, what is this movie about? This movie is about a pretty much low-income puppeteer who has bigger aspirations in life, currently looking for a job with a wife and who is also like a vet. And he's looking for a job, finally finds a job, and meets a co-worker that he finds very attractive, and also a portal that allows him to become John Malkovich. And when he decides to become John Malkovich, he decides to use this opportunity to enhance his life, pretty much. That is being John Malkovich. I'm gonna say something more about after enhance his life, but I'm gonna leave it at that. This review is gonna have spoilers in it, so you haven't seen Being John Malkovich, go watch the movie and come back and watch it. This also review has a 95% or 90+% on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people love this movie, but it also has a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. So one gives it an A, another one gives it a C+. Where as far as rating goes out there. So this movie has a cult following, and I feel like I'm getting to my first thoughts, guys, but I feel like I can see why this movie has that cult following. It's a very eccentric movie. It's definitely not a movie for everybody. But as a fan of story writing and I guess continuity and keep everything the same, to me this movie doesn't hit as hard for me, to be honest. This movie has a lot going on and it's kind of slow at first. It really is slow. Matter of fact, I like to be honest with you guys, I actually had to stop watching this movie the first 30 minutes, which is actually where he becomes John Malkovich. Our main character played by John Cusack, who is Craig. Craig becomes, like, he actually finds a portal within the first 30 minutes of the movie. By that point, I was already checked out. I was like, I'm just not following it. The movie is definitely, what's the version of the term I want to say? Not dull looking, but it's dark and gray as far as shading of the movie. The movie is not a bright colored movie. It's definitely shading, it's definitely gloom. And there's a reason for that, because at this point, the character you're following, Craig, is not really a happy-go-lucky guy. He's actually not a really good guy, to be honest. Like, when you really get to meet the character himself, you're like, this dude's a dirtbag. I don't like this dude. And when it comes to John Malkovich, it shifts, but at the same time, it's like, alright, we're coming to John Malkovich. Cool. Alright. Like, I don't know, to me, when he came to John Malkovich, I was just like that did nothing for me. And John Malkovich, who's actually a real person in this movie, he's like, somebody's inside my mind trying to figure out what's going on. And when Craig managed to take over John Malkovich to pretty much get to the fame and riches and pretty much ruin John's life, there's a whole other plot point where John was actually being used as a vessel for older people to keep living life, and when it gets to a certain point, they find a new vessel and keep the ball rolling. So Malkovich never really, all the things he did was pretty much going to be like, at the end of the day, not really worth anything because he's going to get taken away from him. That's one thing I thought when I watched this movie, but that's a whole other plot point and discussion you can have. As far as this movie, you get Craig, who, like I said, not a good guy. He wants to cheat on his wife and not really helping out his marriage. And then his wife, who is played by Cameron Diaz, who is Lottie, Lodi, but she is also, I think it's Lottie, she's also not really adding much to the relationship either. Like they are in a dying relationship, and Lottie is like, I don't feel fulfilled either. And Catherine Keeter, her character, who is Maxine, is kind of like the lustful character in this movie. Like, she's literally just there to be like a lust point for Craig and Lottie, where they are trying to vie for her love and kind of like cheat on one another in order to get Maxine to sleep with them. But Maxine's only attracted to them when they're in John Malkovich. So this movie becomes a love triangle. So that happens. It becomes a love triangle that seems like a pretty integral part. Like, okay, we can see where this goes. Like, you have, Lottie, who wants to sleep with Maxine. You got Craig, who's been lusting after Maxine, and Maxine told Craig that I don't find you attractive at all, but finds Lottie attractive only if she's John Malkovich. So Malkovich is being used as this like sex puppet to order to fulfill Maxine's fantasies as well as Craig's fantasy and Lottie's fantasy. But at the end of the day, Lottie and Maxine actually do get with each other, like real life Lottie, not John Malkovich Lottie, while Malkovich becomes a vessel for, like I said, a group of 80 plus people, 80-year-old people. And it's the thoughts of this movie is very interesting, because it's the thoughts about like, you're escaping who you are. You don't want to be who you want to be. You live this other person's life to get the things you want, and at the end of the day, which I do appreciate them doing this, Craig does not win. You follow this dude's journey, and as you're watching, you're like, I don't care about Craig. Craig's a horrible person. He's not a really good guy. He's threatened to kill his wife in order so she can get Maxine over to sleep with him. Like, the heck? And Maxine's using both of them to fulfill her fantasies. And Craig, who think he wins at the end of the day, actually doesn't win, because Maxine still leaves him for Lottie, which Lottie and Craig never really break up. They just like, literally, Craig just leaves his wife, just leaves her. Like, there's some interesting talking points here about like being not who you are, not true to yourself, trying to go after things that at the end of the day ruins who you are. Like, this movie has those topics in it, and it's very like, you can sit down and talk to people about this movie. It's like a very good talking point, but it's also just a lot going on in this movie. And there's also certain points in this movie to me that like, the movie seemed to just want to be weird because for the sake of being weird. Like, for example, there's a point where John Malkovich finds that like, oh, they're going inside of me. Where's this portal? He finds the portal, and he goes inside his own head, and the world that he sees is purely just himself. He sees himself on a woman's body, he sees himself on a kid's body, he sees himself like on a baby's body, on another man's body, and pretty much everybody just saying, I believe I have the Malkovich. No, they're just saying John Malkovich. They're just saying his name over and over again. And he's like, what the heck is going on here? And he is losing it inside his own head. Which I was like watching, it's like, I think this movie just want to be weird. Like, and it's probably a comedy. It's a comedy which somebody will find that funny. Comedy is subjective, so somebody else will find that funny. For me, I'm just like, they just want to be weird. And I can get dark humor. I get that kind of stuff. I can get, clips and stuff like that. But this humor in this movie didn't really hit me, and there were certain times I was just like, all right, they just threw that in there just to throw it in there and just make it, you know, make it funny. Just try to make it funny, make them. Somebody got a joke out of it. I would say that somebody got a joke out of it, but I think the movie would have kept it. You didn't have to put Being John Malkovich in it. I know why Malkovich was there, to be the puppet for the puppet master, who is Craig, because he messes with puppets, he plays with puppets, or creates puppets, put on puppet shows. So I get the whole idea of him creating, pretending to be John Malkovich to live out the life he wants to live. But at the same time, if they didn't really do the whole Malkovich is a vessel, and it was like I guess a serious story with like Lottie, Craig, and Maxine, with the three of them in a love triangle, for them lusting after Maxine, who would be like this very big, beautiful character that just gives the eye, like, that catches the eyes of everybody. And it was just the husband and wife trying to find a way to, I guess, create a relationship or sleep with Lottie, or get Lottie's affection, not Lottie, so Maxine's affection. I would have been more down with that with them, instead of them trying to put like, oh, we'll come the John Malkovich thing so he can find a way to sleep with Maxine. And as you're watching it, Lottie, for a part of the movie, like, disappears. Like, she's not even there until like the climax of the movie, which I'm like, it seems like a movie they had like an idea and they wanted to do a bunch of different things, and they wanted to like introduce the Malkovich scene and have Malkovich be a part of it, and then the puppet thing, and pretend to be somebody you're not. Also, a love triangle, like the love triangle is something that you're not, and the puppet and the Malkovich and the portal to escape your reality to somebody else's and a more famous person. Like, I think they just would have focused on the love triangle part of this movie. I think it'd be a better movie, but the name of the movie is Being John Malkovich. Alright, I do want to talk about the box office here. So this movie had a budget of $13 million. And it made worldwide $23 million plus. So, okay. The director is by Johnsy, and writer was Charlie Kaufman. Cast and crew here, we got John Cusack as Craig Swartz. I think John Cusack did a good job being Craig. John made me hate Craig as a character. So I think that's a good thing when your actor can portray this kind of emotion from the people watching it. I think, to be honest, I actually think the characters and the actors and actors playing the characters did a good job, because I actually believed into these characters. I got behind, I suspended my disbelief, where I was like, I don't like Craig as a person. I don't like him. And John Cusack did a good thing portraying Craig in that way. Cameron Diaz as Lottie. I think Cameron Diaz did a great job. She was actually a very spark of joy for me in this movie. I feel like anytime Lottie came onto the screen and Cameron Diaz was like making her seem jovial, making her bright up and like, oh my gosh, this is a spark of life, I felt that energy. I think Cameron Diaz did a good job there. Kathleen Keener as Maxine. Kathleen Keener as Maxine. Kathleen Keener, I think Keener did a good job portraying Maxine as a, I don't want to say sex character or like a character that's just lustful, but I guess a character of like that has an ire of lust and an ire of like people want to be around her and attracted to her. I think Keener did a good job doing that and portraying Catherine in that, or portraying Maxine in that way, and just being that kind of sly, like, I really don't like you like that. Oh, I want to flirt with you kind of character. And I think good job of the writing for doing that too, because at that point, that's good writing for characters. I think the characters in this movie is written well. The storyline for the movie wasn't as well. And then John Malkovich just being himself. I thought he was okay. I thought he was okay. I like it. The character Malkovich wasn't really a guy that was like, oh, I'll be sorry for you. Like, I didn't feel that emotion. He literally was just a puppet for the other three in this movie. Any other thoughts? Not really. Don't have anything else. It's it's a definitely eccentric movie. It's really odd. But at the same time, there's stuff you can pull from this. It's funny. Watching this movie reminded me of like a college class where I was in college where my teacher would make us watch movies to like pick out story plots and points and character development and character writing in college, and like the Odyssey and the hero's journey. Like this movie reminded me of one of those movies that you can break down and say like most of your movies you watch nowadays are characters who have this journey, who goes from down to nothing to coming to the top, and they learn a lesson and they keep moving and keep going, and they give the earn the appeal and earn the respect of others around them. This person fighting to get to the top. Anime is like that. A lot of anime, you watch characters who are really down and out, but yet have this optimism about them, what they want. Like, I want to achieve. In this movie, you have the opposite of that. You have a guy who's already down. He does get to the top, but then at the end of the movie, he doesn't learn anything. He pretty much has the same mentality from the beginning of the movie he has at the end. He got everything he wants, but he was so blinded by the fact that, like, you had a life, you had a wife, yeah, you might not be making money, but you had a very strong family, and you didn't respect that enough, and you wanted to escape that for a woman who didn't care about you, and the only reason she was around you because you had money, and at the end of the day, she ended up still leaving you, even as your John Malkovich person, for your wife that you left for her. Like at the end of the day, like I think that's pretty interesting. It's just a movie where you don't really see characters who are already low and they somehow managed to make it to the top. He pretty much stole his way to the top, and then at the end of the movie still keep that same mentality, and it doesn't change. You really don't see that. You usually see the character learn the lesson and like change. No, this dude just stayed the same. And that's an interesting take there. I will take that. Is this a Friday night movie? No, I wouldn't call it a Friday night movie, but it's a movie you should, like, if you're somebody who loves like deep thought and deep thinking movies and want to like get your thoughts out there and change it, look at a different movie, different style. That's like, this one to be one of those movies for you. You're somebody who like watching movies for like to think more about it and go deep in details. Yeah, but as a movie itself, like, does it work as a movie? I don't know. I really don't think so. To me, in my opinion, I think this movie would probably be better if it's a TV show. And you can actually dive into that love triangle, dive into the puppet and him having a whole episode where he's being the puppet and taking over Malkovich and doing all these things. Because the movie does move fast too. At the end, it's like a chase scene and you're like, whoa, okay, we just immediately got to this point and all of a sudden, it's your baby. What? So I think if this movie probably been done better if it was a TV show. That way you can really dive deep in some of the ideas and characters they really wanted to go into here in this movie. And grading time. I'm going to grade the movie Being John Malkovich a C. This movie's a C to me. The reason why, for one, like I said earlier, the movie's slow start. I actually had to stop the movie to come back to it, which is funny. I stopped the movie at the part where he came John Malkovich, and I was just like, I'm out. Like, this right here, just like, okay. I read the description of the movie again. I watched it over. I listened to it again, and I watched parts of it. I was like, okay, I'm out. And I came back and finished it all. I was like, all right, I'm gonna sit through this. This was a request, and I want to honor that request. I'm gonna sit through it. And acting in this movie, I think the acting movie is solid. The acting movie is solid across the board. All the characters, I think, it did a great job. So that's part of the reason I gave it a C. And I do like what they were trying to go there with certain points. For example, the love triangle, but the Being John Malkovich part, I think to me they were trying to be weird with this movie versus just staying like, just stay the course and just say, like, let's focus on this love triangle here and make that the focal point versus trying to be kind of funny and comedy with the Malkovich thing. At this point, or I guess the 90s, yeah, you had alien movies, you had Men in Black and stuff like that. So that kind of going to somebody's mind portal thing definitely could have worked back then. It didn't need to be like kind of funny and all over the place and be eccentric and odd. The movie didn't need to be that. I think the love triangle would have been a perfect part of this movie to just work on and focus on. But hey, they gave it a shot. And like a lot of people like this movie. I might get some stink on my review for this, but yeah, I gave this movie a C. It's a C for me. If you guys seen Being John Malkovich, what do you think? Please put in the comment section below. Other than that, see you guys in the next episode of Movie Breakdowns, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode of Movie Breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.